Like, it is my fault. Holly didn't do her job. Holly is not worth anything. She's not a good mom. She's not good at taking care of a house. She doesn't even have that. She doesn't even have a job. She doesn't have that much to do. How is she failing at this? Like that, those are the things that I would tell myself constantly. Like, it's not that hard, Holly.
Greetings and thank you for tuning into Raw Talks. If you're joining us for the first time, my name is Raihana, like rye bread, and I'll be your host. So good to see you again. I've got a great guest on the show for you today. Let me go ahead and introduce her. Joining me today is Holly Bantique. Holly Bantique is a wife, mom, corporate leader turned founder, woo-woo, and lover of yoga and quality family time. And she's striving for a life full of fulfillment and happiness while doing it all. As a recovering perfectionist and overthinker, she tries to enjoy life while figuring out parenting and running her new business. Holly, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. How's it going?
Everything's good over here. Thank you so much. I have been anticipating this moment and I'm so excited to be here just talking to you, sharing my story.
Likewise, I love our vibe and I'm so excited for this conversation and to learn more about this new business you've developed as well. And I'm sure listeners would be interested as well, especially new mom founders out there who are interested in figuring out some great tips that you can share. And, before we dive into all those great topics and learning more about your business, I first want to learn from you. What does being a parent mean to you?
That is a really good question. Being a parent, really, it is modeling for my son how to be an adult. And I said I'm an overthinker. I'm a perfectionist. I call myself a recovering perfectionist because I'm working on it. But deep down, I want to create a little human that turns into a big human who is a productive member of society and who can make positive change. And that is my goal every day. So every day I wake up, I go to bed and I think, did I model behavior that I want him to accept and absorb to take into the world every day? Because one day I'm not going to be there to model it for him. So at the deepest, most inner self, really, that is what parenthood and parenting means to me.
Oh my God, there was so much that you said that I just wanted to kind of take apart little by little. And the first thing that you mentioned was, I am modeling the behavior for this little human. So it's not just about task oriented, which I think most moms and dads can relate to, that it's just I gotta change a diaper, I gotta make sure you get your bottle, sleep on time, get your nap on time, eat food, did we have enough poops today? You're just so focused in the chaos of, did I meet the checklist to tell the doctor he's on track? Yeah. And let me shift the narrative here. I'm a role model for not this baby or toddler, little human. What a way to just kind of, with that reframe, when you said it, just made me rethink, how do you look at a child, for those who have children, and how your approach would be. And it just feels like it would just flip completely. But how was that for you when you started thinking about your son as not a baby or a toddler, but a little human, and I'm responsible for how he's going to be and show up in the world?
Yeah, I think a big thing that I started when he was really young was talking to him about everything and anything. Mm-hmm. Mommy's crying right now. Somebody, I feel like a lot of parents don't like to say oh, I'm crying, I'm sad, or, you want your kid to live a happy life and you don't want to expose them to sadness or anger. But the reality is Mommy gets angry sometimes, or Mommy gets sad sometimes, and things like that, bringing that up in the moment and saying, yeah, Mommy cries. A hug makes me feel better. And my husband will come in and he'll hug me. And then I'll say, wow, I feel better. And really narrating life. It's really eye-opening because kids listen to everything, especially toddlers. So context, my son is 2. He's almost 2.5. So he's really listening. He's really repeating. And yeah, I think just the narrating, because there's so much going on in my head. Again, overthinker, think about a million things a day, and stopping helps me to be present in the moment, to narrate what I'm doing, and stopping and just explaining it to him. If I do that a few times, you can see just a world of difference in his behavior or ways he's doing things, because he's taking all that information in. That's all they are little sponges when they're that small. So yeah, I just noticed him taking in, I'm not going to say I have it all figured out, but what I will say is he takes in a lot of information and you can tell he's processing it and working with it.
two more things here. I really appreciate how you said, like, I don't know it all, but just your approach that you're taking and accepting that for yourself, like, I don't have to know all the answers. That feels like it's already tackling that recovering perfectionist that you mentioned. That's a part of your identity. Like, you're already trying to not feed it, but you're trying to kind of kill the life in that part of you, that I don't have to know everything. Therefore, I don't need to hold on to this perfectionist side of me. I can start to let it go. And this whole being a mom seems like it's helped you to kind of let loose of some of that thinking. And the other part where you were saying about earlier, I'm recovering. I think it's such a beautiful truth to kind of come face to face with, because sometimes we feel like it has to be all or nothing. There's no in between, like whether you're overcoming self-doubt or perfectionism or being a self-critic. I just saw something on LinkedIn earlier. Someone was talking about that, like being on this journey of letting go of criticizing myself. And it's so true. It's never going to be an all or nothing. It's not an on or off. It is a journey. And the more we can accept that, the better we can show up for others and ourselves. But I'm going to get your take on that. Like, how does looking at this as a journey to going from imperfection to being a human and being okay with that, how does that change how you show up for yourself, your family, now that you've kind of reframed that for yourself?
Yeah. Well, okay, you said two things that I want to touch on. So I will answer your question, but I have to say something first.
Yeah.
I'm in therapy, and so one of the things my therapist told me to do was she gave me like this sheet of breathing exercises and coping mechanisms to like read through and find what sticks. So I found one coping mechanism that says healing, and I think healing can mean so many things, or our journey can mean so many things. We can have a parenthood journey, a career journey, just a self-actualization journey. You're finding yourself. But part of it says healing is not linear. Your journey is not linear. And I think that right there hit me really hard because it's not, you imagine like, I'm healing. I should be doing this. I should just be like going up, getting better every day. Every day should be this 1% better. But the reality is you can be 5% better one day, and then guess what? You're knocked back down 4% or even 6%. And now you're like, but I'm back, but you're still healing and you're still working on it. And I think that's one thing that I've been working on myself, and I've been taking as a truth, is this is not linear. Yeah. Parenting is not linear. My friendships are not linear. Like, sometimes you're going to give and take more. I actually saw, speaking of LinkedIn, I saw this or picture, whatever it was, about a journey, and it was going like this. Like just a loop, and like all these different, this line was just everywhere. And that's what it is. It's not even on a bar graph. It's not even on a line graph. It is literally everywhere. And it feels chaotic, especially in parenthood, especially like, women are dealing with a lot of things. Parents are dealing with a lot of things. I think about my household, my son, me, which is usually last. I think about my husband. I think about my business. I think about all these things, and I want them all to go, to progress, to be better. I want my son to have better days, less tantrums today than yesterday. That's better, right? But it's not, because we are all growing in different ways. And to kind of more answer your question, how I show up for myself and my son changed so much, because I'm going to do my best today. That is it. That is all I can give, is my best. And sometimes my best looks different, and that's okay. My best might be the whole house is clean today, I cooked a fresh dinner, and my son had no screen time. To me, screen time is one of those things I always think about. That might be my best that day. And guess what? My best the next day might be, we sat in front of the TV, we ate goldfish, and we didn't do much today. And that was my best that day. And there's room for all of that in your life, in a week, in a month. I think that was a lot for me to understand, and it took me a very long time to understand. There is room for all of that. You don't have to be productive all the time. You don't have to be like perfect mom all the time. You don't have to teach him something all the time. Like, he is learning, and that's kind of where that narrating comes from too. Like, he's going to learn whether we're sitting on the couch or we're playing and doing like an actual structured activity. He will learn no matter what. What he's learning might be different, but that's okay, because there's room for both.
It's so funny you brought that up, because it's almost like this whole concept of, I'm going to be my best today. And how you were saying that my best, there's no fixed definition around that. It's going to change every day. I'm not following any specific criteria. It is what it is that day. And it's like the universe or the higher power of God decides what it is going to be for you without even knowing. But that sounds so counterintuitive to this perfectionist side in you. So I'm wondering, how do you focus on holding to that I'm going to be my best today throughout your day when things, I can imagine, like things are coming up, you know, something spills with your son and he's maybe having, as you mentioned, like a tantrum, and your mindset gets triggered and you like flip into like automatic reaction mode. How do you kind of reel yourself back in to remember I'm going to be my best today and not let the perfectionist take over?
I'm working on that.
Yeah.
But one thing, so first of all, I feel like you're seeing into me somehow. Exactly what happened. Exactly what happened to my mind. How did you do that?
I mean, that does it.
But truly, like that is exactly like my mind wants to go there. And one visual I tell myself very often, works sometimes, doesn't work sometimes as well, but works most of the time, is my cup is 100%, right? Like that's all I have to pour out of. And perfectionist Holly, wants to give 100% to each thing. I want to give 100% to taking care of my home, 100% to my errands I have to run, 100% to my husband, to myself, and to my son, and to my business. Oh my gosh, add something else, right? So I want to give 100% to each thing, and I only have 100% to give. So in reality, what's 100 divided by 5 is 20. My reality is I can give 20% of myself to each of those things. I think I said 5 things. But I think business might have been 6. Either way, I can only give a certain percentage of myself to each of those things. And I look at it that way now because we don't have it. I don't have unlimited time. The day only lasts so long. I don't have unlimited energy, although sometimes I think I can somehow make myself have unlimited energy. You just don't have unlimited resources within yourself. And if you act like you do, you will burn out. And that is just the reality. I've been there. I've done it in so many different ways. So that's just how I have to look at it to make sure I don't burn out, is I can give each section a little bit of me. And then I have to remember to leave some for myself. That is what I'm not good at. And I'm learning to do, is leave some for myself. I did like a 10-minute exercise today and I was like, oh, that's enough for me. I'm good. I feel better. That's all I needed. Whether, whatever it is that makes you feel whole and gives you something back for yourself. To me, it's exercise. Someone else, it might be taking a nice, long, relaxing bath, like whatever it is. But I have to give that's another thing. I have to give each thing a little bit of me each day. And if I don't feel like I did enough. So give a little bit. I'm kind of going off on a tangent here. But give a little bit to each section too, because there will be days that I give up all of myself to everything else. And then my husband, guess what? He has 0% left. And he gets let, and he's like, I feel it. He'll tell me in a very nice way, but he'll say like, Holly, like, I need to hug today. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I didn't think to do that because my brain is a million places. But yeah, so just focusing on those things and remembering I only have 100% of myself and I can't give it all to one thing. It's just not going to happen.
That's just that's such an important reminder. Ooh, my tongue got stuck right there. And when you were saying that whole cup thing, it almost makes, and I probably might actually do this, I want to get like a physical cup and fill it up with something, probably like toffees or something that's like not easy to, that's easy to take out. And as I start feeling like my energy go down, I want to just remove something. So I can get that physical element to connect, like, hey, I'm going down. Let me take a reality check. This is how much I've got left. How am I going to spend it? Like that visual just came in my mind. I'm like, I think I might try that. Sounds a little bit cheesy, but that whole physical element seems like it might really do some good. Like to kind of just get your brain back into the present instead of focusing on give, and then you think about what do I have left when you have nothing left.
Yeah, doing it before. I love that. It literally gave me chills. Like that is such a cool, like, I feel like that needs to be an app. That needs to be an app where you can just like undo, like take it away. But I love the physical part of it too, because sometimes you need to see that. And you might have to take 5 out. you know? And then you
Absolutely.
look at it and you're saying, whoa, wait, I actually do have less of me today. And yeah, I need to be smart about where I put my toffee candies.
And you know, the funny thing is how you were saying, I had 6 things. I'm going to give 20 each. Well, wait a minute. I got to give 15 each because I added a 6, right? And it made me think, well, wait a minute. Now you're giving a category to your best again. You're saying I have to give 15% in each category. But the reality is, your son might take 80, leaving you 20 for the rest.
Yeah.
And sometimes it'll be your son gets 10, and then you can give a little bit more to your husband in the business on other days, depending on where he's at and where his needs are that day, right? And maybe you give a little bit more than 0% to self-care on those days where you have a little bit more in your cup. I'm not saying give 0, right? Like that's a separate conversation. But you gotta make sure that you don't have your mind, and this is where what I'm hearing you saying, I'm just articulating, right? Like I feel like you're saying is, I can't let myself think I'm gonna give 15% equally every single day. I'm going to shift how I'm going to divide these percentages or my little toffee pieces in my cup. And as they start to deplete, I'm going to recalibrate and refocus. Okay, this is what I got left. Let me see how I can divvy it up and make sure nothing ends with 0%. But each one is going to get something, even if it's 0.5%. It's going to get something. Am I hearing that right?
I love that. I feel like you articulated it so well. I kind of went off and you're like, okay, bring it back. Let me talk about this.
Told the story about how this happens for you. And my job is just kind of to capture the key highlights of your story. And I think we're doing it so well. So thank you so much for sharing that. When I get my cup, I don't know what I'm going to fill it up with. Toffees just came to mind because I'm thinking about kids. But I'll let you know what I fill it up with, and we can probably share ideas of how to kind of switch it up.
Yeah.
And speaking of parenthood and business owner, how do you find balance between being a parent and your business? And this is a good way to kind of have you tell us a little bit about what is this business, this great business thing that you're doing right now.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll start about talking about what it is. So it is called Calique, Paperie, and Design. And I've had this idea for so long, probably, I think July 2023 is when I left like corporate world. And I had that idea then, and I was like, no, you can't start your own business. No, 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 no. We're gonna do something else. We'll look for a job, be a stay-at-home mom, anything else other than start your own business. And so it's what it is custom invitations and kind of like invitation suites. So thinking like thank you cards, little inserts for RSVPs and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I want it to be much bigger. I have this grand idea behind it. But for me, talking about balance, I had to start small because I do have a son that I'm taking care of that I don't want to put in daycare or anything like that. And I want him to be with me as much as possible, especially because I am fortunate enough to make that choice. I can do that. And I think I owe it to myself and I owe it to my son and our future to spend the time with him and be here with him while I can. So that is what my business is, and I hope for it to grow into something even bigger. I want to do like full stationery, like signs and banners and yard signs and stickers and favors and all kinds of stuff. But that is to come. Right
So
now.
what inspired this idea of I want to do invitations? Because I mean, there's so many sellers of this kind of stuff.
Mhm.
But what made you so inspired to do this specific type of idea and pursue it?
So I was pregnant and I wanted a baby shower, and my baby shower theme was nowhere. It was like clouds. Where do you find cloud baby shower? You can't. Or maybe you can now, but 2 years ago that wasn't happening, or 3 years ago. So I was looking for clouds and like rain. I wanted clouds and rain. And that was like my thing because that's my son's theme in his room. And we kind of like really loved it. We're like, let's do baby shower in that. Couldn't find anything cohesive that I really, really liked because I wanted like modern, kind of soft, but not baby. Like it was really hard for me to find like exactly what I wanted. And then come his first birthday, he loved planets. He was so into planets. I wanted planets. I wanted cute planets, but not like kitty planets, but not like regular, like accurate planets. That's what everything was. It was all these different things. And I had to piece it together because I wanted a planet birthday party. But the reality is I couldn't find something cohesive that like all matched, that all looked good, exactly how I wanted it to. And then his second birthday, same thing. We wanted fire trucks, and everything was like certain fire trucks. Like they were either too cartoony or too modern or whatever, and not right in that middle where I wanted. So I was like, why don't I just create these? And I ended up doing it with my friend, creating kind of exactly what I wanted. But I just said, there has to be other people out there that want this, that can't have it. And my original goal was, I'm going to do everything for you, because that was my issue. That was my problem I needed to solve, was I can't find everything. And like I said, I don't want to jump in too far, because I do want to still take care of my son. I do have a family. My husband works full time. Like, it's not like I can just like stop everything, work 8 hours a day on this thing. So I'm starting small, but my goal is to provide like whatever custom theme you want. And we're going to get you all your stuff for your party cohesive, and it looks the same and the same colors and everything like that. So that's the goal, but I'm starting small right now.
So it sounds like you're starting small with I would say you're starting smart. Let's stop calling it start small. We're starting smart. Because we're doing what works for you in your day and age right now with what's important to you. Son and husband first, and then business. And you're still bringing this idea to life. So you're starting smart, if that's okay if I reframe that for you. And you're trying to scale this into, let me give you a customized party in a box. Is that kind of where you're headed, with giving you everything that you need based on what your desired theme is?
Yeah.
Wow. That's so cool. And, it's so funny that you mentioned that. I was at Party City the other day because they're shutting down their stores across the nation.
Yeah.
And we were looking for a giraffe balloon. And I couldn't find a giraffe balloon that was the right size that I needed, and that didn't have, it's a girl or baby in it. They had those, and they had a 3-foot thing. And I'm like, that's a little too big. I need something small. Something you can put on the table with like a little centerpiece or something. And I was looking for a llama too, and the llama looked like it just came out of a piñata. So I'm like, what was the llama? These llamas are white and brown, and it's not like that. She wasn't looking a party, but I can understand the pain of, if you are doing something like that and you're looking for what you want and you can't find it, well, there you go. Holly Bantique has got you covered, and make sure you check it out, because she's going to do some amazing things. Thank you so much for sharing that. And so when you're talking about being smart about starting this business and doing it the way you want, and you're going to go big, but right now it's like just focused on your values, how do you prioritize that value of being a parent and then a business owner, and or finding balance between the two and making that a reality for yourself?
Yeah. This is actually something I've put into practice starting like this week. And it's working well so far, because my brain, like what drives me insane is I have an idea and I'm like trying to be present with my son. And I'm like, remember it, Holly. You can remember this. You can do this. And I'm like, I really don't like picking up my phone. Like I try to be so present with him.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't work. We all know mom brain just takes over, and I forget completely. And I'm like, well, that was a really cool business idea. Now I forgot. I'm learning to give myself grace in that area of like, and I'll even, like I said, narrate. I say, ooh, Vance, I have a business idea. I'm going to write it down really fast. And I write it down really fast. And then I'm like, okay, I'm done. But I say like, ooh, I have an idea. So sometimes he'll even say like, ooh, I have an idea. I'm like, what's the idea, bud? But it's cool to see. Like I said, he's a sponge, and he comes back with things that I say. But so that's one thing that I've implemented. Like, I can write things down. It is okay to do that.
Yeah.
And then part 2 is, so first half of the day is for
your son, and then
that's it. Second half of the day is business if I need to.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't have to be half the day. It might be an hour. It might be 2. It might be 30 minutes, whatever that means. That second half is for him, or for my business. Sorry. So that's kind of how I split it. And at least it gets my mind right to split my day. And I don't feel guilty, because I always feel guilty. I don't feel guilty about not taking care of him as much, because I did it the first half of the day and I took the time to be with him. And the second half, I'm like, okay, I did that. Now I can move on to my business, and it's okay.
Yeah, no, that whole mom guilt thing seems to flood the internet a lot, and I think there are different perspectives to that, right? Like, I know you to be the mom that cares a lot about your son, and you don't want to feel guilty, even though you do, for doing the business thing. But how do you then overcome that guilt so you're not like saying like you failed, basically, because you chose to do some of the business time? How do you overcome that feeling of failure, that I failed as a mom because my son needed me or he wanted something and I'm doing this in the
Yeah, that's deep. It's true though. It is. Like for a very long time, I was like, I put Vance in front of the TV. I am awful. I'm telling you, I know screen time's not that bad. Like I'm not hating on screen time at all, but I read something forever ago and I was like, oh, screen time is the worst. And it's not. As long as they're not in front of the TV for 8 hours a day, it's not the worst thing. And I just started, honestly, it's a lot of it is my husband. He's a very big supporter and he reminds me often of like, Holly, it's okay. Like, you also want him to grow up like looking at other things. And even, I even tell myself things like, they're using different words than I would use. Like, he would never learn that word with me. Like, he just wouldn't. Like, he watches these car videos, right? And they say chassis. I didn't even know what a chassis was until I was watching the video with him and I was like, oh, that's like the body of the car. It's a chassis. Okay. But I never like, when would I have ever taught him that? Or what, like, that's a very random example, but it's true. Like, when would I have talked to him about that? So I'm realizing like, I do not have to be the sole teacher for this child. He can learn in other ways. He can learn from the TV. He can learn from other people. He can, and that's all okay. And it's really talking to myself a lot and reframing it a lot because my internal, that inner critic, that little voice that's like, you're not doing enough and you're a bad mom. She talks all the time. And I have to tune her out or I have to almost talk back and be like, no, I'm a great mom. And try to overcome that because it comes up so much and so often. It's not easy to push away, but it's all, and it's all internal. There's nothing tangible.
Yeah,
there's no one
exactly.
writing it to me. There's no one even saying it out loud. It's just all happening in my head. So it's like this constant battle. Again, I have not figured it out, but I'm getting there. That's something that helps is just like talking back to her. I call her somebody separate because it's not me. And I talk back to her and I'm like, no, that's not right. I'm going to be nice to myself today. Or it's okay that he was in, doing something else for 30 minutes. Or it's okay that I let him ask me for something and I told him to wait. That's another thing that like, I think is hard for moms is like, you hear your child say, mommy, and you're like, yes, what can I do for you? And you stop everything that you're doing. But the reality is like, they could wait. They can learn like, mommy's doing something right now and I will gladly help you after I'm done. And that's it.
Absolutely. And it's not just about business. Like if you're in the kitchen cooking, your child might be asking you for something and it's like, okay, just give me a minute. But for some little human who doesn't understand, oh, I need to wait for something. What does that mean? It can be so hard to just wait. Like it feels like a century, I can imagine, for someone like that, Yeah. But at the same time, if you look at it differently, like you're saying, you're helping your son to build patience. It's not that you're ignoring him or you're prioritizing something over him, but you're acknowledging him, and you're also letting him know, I'm in the middle of something, I'm coming, and I'm sure you must have looked at him and gave him full attention when you're telling him that, and let him know he's validated, like he's heard, but mommy's busy right now, and so as soon as I'm done here, I'm coming to you. So that helps him to kind of get that surety of trust that, okay, mommy's coming, and at the same time build some patience and learn how to do that at such a young age. That's an incredible skill that's going to help him throughout his life. Even though it's super, super hard to learn it right now. And I can just imagine how much your heart must be aching to have him express himself when you're not able to go to him immediately when you're doing something else. How true is that for you?
Yeah, that's you hit it right on the head. That's exactly how I feel. It's but we do. I'm really glad you brought it up because we do. I say, that was such good patience, buddy. We're practicing patience together. And I try to bring it up because it's I can imagine it's difficult. It's difficult for us as adults to have patience. Like especially in the day and age of technology where you can get everything right away, everything's convenient, at a price, right? But teaching him like you do have to wait sometimes. And and it kind of there's another like saying out there about like let your kids be bored, and it helps him understand like, okay, I'm gonna be patient. I could also do something else. Like that's one thing I've noticed. So we had a nanny at one point when this is kind of a story, but I have a point. When I was working, because I didn't stay home with him initially. I went back to work and then I was like, I can't do this. I want to be home.
Wow.
And so he had a nanny. So he had literally someone with him full time, no other kids, who was her entire job was to be with him and give him attention. And he had that since since I went back to work. So since he was about 3 months, always had a nanny, always had someone with him, taking care of him. And you could tell the difference when like we no longer had a nanny and it was mommy now watching him all the time. Because I did have stuff to do around the house. And the patience thing, you could tell. He was like, why aren't you coming to me doing exactly what I want to do? You could tell kind of, he was young, he was like 1, but that was going through his head. And kind of, there was a shift. There was this shift of like, oh, I do have to wait. And you can just tell he's adapting. Kids can adapt to so much more than we give them credit for. And he would adapt. And I would say, hold on, baby, or give me a few minutes or whatever I would say to help him understand, like, I'm doing something right now and I'll come to you. And he might go play with something. And then sometimes he might even forget. He'll get so into what he's doing that he's so happy and content that he just does his thing. And that's showing how he's learning. And I will come back to him. I'm not like, you're good. All right, I'm going to leave. I'm going to continue doing dishes. But I will like come back to him and say, hey, did you need me for something? Or did you have a question? Or, and try to see if he still needed me. But he's gaining, like you said, gaining those skills of patience and just being able to do something and think of something to do while he is waiting. So both of those have kind of gone hand in hand for him, and it's cool to watch.
Wow, that's so interesting. How you were saying how we don't give kids enough credit, I think there's so much truth to that. I've spoken to so many moms and just kind of summarizing the stories that I've spoken to with the moms that I've heard from, is that there's a lot of this feeling like, I need to make sure they listen. They don't listen to me, there's a problem. And then we start feeling bad about it. And then our behavior changes. But then when you talk about, and some of the moms are like, it's, kids can learn and adapt. And it's okay that they're not listening to me right now. They're going to figure it out. They understand the language that I'm speaking. It's going to take time. They have to learn everything. It's not like they come pre-programmed, Yeah. So you combine the two, it's just kind of like, you need to take a moment and just look at, what are they going through? They're being told everything. They're learning everything. I have neurons firing all over through their head every single second. And they're trying to process what's going on, make sense of the world, understand what's right, what's wrong. They don't even know what that means. But you're here trying to change the game for what a mother should be like. Like, it's okay to let him try to figure it out. I don't have to hold his hand the whole time. I don't have to tell him, do it this way, do it that way, then take this step, and then the next step, and, make sure you do it that way. Like, it has to be done this way. Like, we need to, let loose of that. Not just for parents who are raising kids, like young kids and older kids.
Yeah.
But it feels like we need to kind of implement some of those teachings on ourselves, too. Like, how much are we holding these standards to ourselves? Well, we have to do it from A to B to C, and make sure you do it in that order, no other order, and you can't go out of the lines. Like, you gotta follow inside the lines. Like, I feel like we've learned so much of that on our own from the parents that have raised us and the people who are around us when we were growing up, that we're so stickler for those types of things. But when you get that opportunity to teach someone that, it's almost like when you're saying you're teaching your son these things, it's like you're learning something new and unlearning things that weren't working for you. But how true is that for you?
Yeah. Again, how are you in my mind? Like, how is this happening? It is. I'm going to take a moment and process that because it's so true. It's so true that, like, you think I'm going to have we tried for our child and we really, really wanted a baby. And you think, I have it all figured out. I'm good. I can do this, right? Like, you amp yourself up. At least we did. I'm like, I can take care of a baby. I can keep them alive. I can do this. Then they start talking and then they start doing more and absorbing more. And you realize, like, wow, I don't have everything figured out. And he, kind of going back to something I talked about earlier, he is the reason I left my job. Because
Tell me about that. What made you want to leave?
So there was a lot going on. They were doing some restructuring. And you go back after maternity leave, you are not the same woman. You simply are not. I felt it. I felt different when I came back. Before I left, that was my home. That was my second home. It felt like I had my house and then I had my work, and like I loved it there. Everything about it. I really did. I told myself I was going to retire from there. And then I came back from maternity leave. And I was like, they've changed a little. I've changed a lot. And it was just they had a lot of growth, is honestly what happened. And it was really stressful for me. And it was coming up like in a lot of ways for me. Like health wise, I was getting very stressed out. There were just so many things that were happening to where I was like, I don't think I can do this anymore. And I kind of want to be with my son anyways.
So you weren't yourself anymore. A lot of change happened. They were growing. You had a lot of stress and you're thinking, I can't do this anymore.
Exactly. And I kept saying, like, Holly, you need this job. It is paying for your house. It is paying for your car. It is paying for the food that you eat. And my husband worked full time too. But we always told ourselves, like, I could never be a stay-at-home mom. We made the equal amount of money. So our income would literally be in half if I quit. And so, but I just cried almost every day. Like, it just got to the point where it was like, how is money worth what's happening right now? And so I'm not even joking. This is exactly what happened. I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, what would you tell your son if he came to you as your, like, if he was in this exact situation and came to you and asked for advice, what would you do? And without a shadow of a doubt, I said, you would leave. Like, I would tell him, baby, leave. Like, that is not worth it. Right. And like I said, nothing, it's not like anything happened. It wasn't like this big grand thing. It was just like slowly, I just realized like I'm changing, they're changing. It's like not this match anymore. And yeah, that was it. As soon as I said I would tell him to leave, my decision was made. Like that, there was no going back at that point. And then I ended up leaving. And again, I told myself I could never be a stay-at-home mom, and my husband's picking up a lot of slack for that because our income, went down. He is, being our breadwinner for now.
Whoa, go ahead,
rock star man right there.
Yeah,
he is, and yeah, he's making it so I can be home. And yeah, overall, it was that one conversation I had in the mirror that was just like, that's it. You have to go. Like, you have to leave. You can't do this anymore.
There are two things that you said. One was that really got my attention, and I think you're going to appreciate the second one a lot more. The first one was you said, okay, now I lost it. Okay, give me a second. You're like, the money I'm making, it's not worth what I'm feeling. Is it worth what I'm feeling? No. I wanted to ask you in a minute. That deserves a pause. You know what I mean? Because there's so much noise out there talking about how we need to increase the pay raise for women. We're making less than $1 than what men are making. And we need to push for more money, more money, more money. And when you get that more money, you're like, yes, I accomplished something.
Yeah.
I'm accomplishing something for myself or for all women.
Yeah.
And it's and when we talk about, I'm getting headaches. Oh man, these crowds are hurting, man. And you got that for months. Then you need to take a minute and ask yourself, what is that money worth? That question you just said, what is this money worth? Is it worth what I'm going through right now? The answer is no. And maybe for you, other people listening, the answer is, well, maybe. Maybe I do need this money to pay my bills. Maybe it is tight at home. Maybe I do need to find a way to tough it out and take care of myself more so I can keep this job. But the answer will be different for everybody. But I think it's worthwhile to ponder on that question. Is this money worth it? And if it's not, what are the other options here? And even if the answer is yes, it is worth it, then what are the options to take care of yourself? Because it can't just be, no, I'm going to continue the grind and I'm going to keep the money. Something's got to change. That's the bottom line. That's what I heard from you as a collective of what you had said. And the other thing was, when you made that choice, when you said, I look myself in the mirror and ask myself, what advice would I give my son if he asked me, and I say, baby, leave. That tells me that you've got it in you to focus on self-care. Because self-care was you saying, no, I'm not going to continue this grind. I'm going to be home for my son. And I'm going to be there for my family. And in that, I'm taking care of myself. So, Holly, you were saying, yeah, I struggle with self-care. I don't think you struggle with it. I think you got it in you. You just need to tap on that door a little harder and open it up. you know, because it's their
Yeah.
turn. It took you a long time, but you said no to that job. You said, no, I'm not doing this. So now it's time to take a tap on that door again, Holly, and open it up and say, you know what? I got to give a little bit more of my toffees and my percentage bank when I'm doing this every day.
Yes.
Yeah, totally.
110%.
That was genius. That what you said. I think there was no better advice as a parent than the advice you would give to your child. Take that onto yourself, and that's exactly what you did. And you know, we've talked so much about the joys of pregnancy, but I'm going to try to pivot us a little bit, and we're going to go in a little bit eerie topic, but I think it's an important one. I think you would vouch for that. And your journey to parenthood wasn't an easy one. We both know that. So let's dive into your journey to pregnancy and some of the challenges you encountered.
Yeah.
And one of those things is miscarriage. And miscarriage is often a silent struggle for many women. Again, one of those things we go through, don't want to talk about it. Don't ask me. If you heard, forget about it. Pretend you didn't hear. Don't talk to me about it. Because it's so hard. So tell us about your experience. What was having a miscarriage like for you? And what helped you heal from that process?
I am going to tell the full story because I think it is
Yes,
important.
please.
I knew
Yeah.
you were going to ask me about this, and I am genuinely, I'm okay. I'm okay talking about it because I knew, and I've mentally prepared. I feel so strongly that we need to talk about it more. It's need. It is a need. We do not, it's not something that like we should brush over. We need to talk about it because it is a silent struggle. I will tell you my actual story, because I think it's powerful. And I'm just going to start this off by saying I'm so thankful that there were women who were comfortable telling me that they've gone through it before. I have one specific friend who told me she went through it. And as soon as I found out I had a miscarriage, I called her. I said, that's the only person I want to talk to. I don't want to talk to anybody else, like my husband, of course.
Yeah.
Anybody
Yeah,
else?
my husband.
Nope.
We're holding it up.
Right? I don't want to talk to anybody else. I want to talk to her because I know she, one, will be honest with me. And that two, I know I can just spill everything I'm feeling and she will understand. So we were trying for a second. Okay. So we already had our first and we were trying for a second and got pregnant very fast. And I just remember like being excited. I told my husband, I told my son, which is so cool. I'm like, we have to tell Daddy something. It was so cool. It was so special. We had a little secret for a little bit. And yeah, so we were excited. And then we went to our first appointment thinking everything was good. We're like, okay, we get to see our little baby in there, like our first little ultrasound. And it was around week 9 that we went. So we go in, my husband like came over, left work for the appointment and we're so pumped. We go in and we had one before. Okay. So not that I'm an expert, but I've seen what that first ultrasound should kind of look like. And the tech was doing the ultrasound and I just kind of sat there. Like she was very silent. I sat there and like watched what was happening. And I was like, I don't know. Something feels wrong. Like it feels wrong. And so she, did all the whatever she needed to do. And she looked at me and said, I can't find a heartbeat.
Oh my God. That was the first thing she said.
She said something else before that now that you say that, but she kind of was just like, I'm going to tell you what's happening. I can't find a heartbeat. Mind you, my husband works at the hospital. He's in scrubs. So it's kind of like people, it's easier to talk to him because they're like, he really knows what we're talking about. So she looked at us and said, I can't find a heartbeat and your baby is measuring 7 weeks. It should be closer to like 8.5, 9 weeks. And so we're like, okay. We're sitting there. I just remember she's like, I'm going to give you a moment. They had to go change our appointment and everything because you're supposed to like go meet with the doctor and all that. So she had to change my appointment and we went, we were alone and like, I just remember like tears and you blame yourself and you just so many things you think of. I have 2 ways I want to go with this story. I first want to say I had a dream the night before. It sounds like I'm making this up and I'm not. The night before the ultrasound, I had a dream that my son and my husband wasn't there in the dream. My son and I were holding a baby boy, and you couldn't really make out his face, and he had some like disfigurement like in his body. Like something was wrong with this little boy. Sorry. And I didn't realize it then. But someone somewhere was telling me this wasn't a healthy baby. That's what it felt like after I found out. I said, I had a dream about this. This wasn't going to be a healthy baby. He wasn't okay. And in the dream that I had, I didn't feel heavy. I felt light. I felt like I was okay. Like it's okay. It's all right. He's not, he's okay. He's happy or whatever. Like the dream didn't feel this dread or sadness or grief. The dream felt light. And so looking back, I almost feel like it was like the universe telling me, Holly, like this might not be 100% what you think it's going to be, It was almost like a little warning. My son also
was he in the room when you guys got the news?
He was not, thankfully. Okay. I'm so thankful for that. He was not. But my son would always say, after I told him there's a baby in there, and I told him, there's a baby in Mommy's tummy, he would say, I hear the baby talking every day. I hear the baby talking. And after around week 7, so we knew around week 5, and then around week 7, he stopped saying it. And I didn't think anything of it. I was just like, he's not saying that anymore. Okay. And the radiology tech that was in there telling us, she's like, your baby has grown to about week 7. And I kid you not, like I was like this is reflecting. I didn't think this in the moment, but I thought this when I was reflecting. I said, I think he somehow knew that baby wasn't there anymore, or it wasn't growing anymore. Like, I don't know if people believe in these things, but just there were these little signs that happened that I was like, I had signs. I had little bitty signs that I didn't pick up on that were telling me like this wasn't going to go through. Okay. So the other way I want to tell the other part of this story is I talked to my doctor. She's like, you did nothing wrong. Thankfully, I had a little boy who proved that I can carry a pregnancy. I know some people are not that fortunate. They're not. You might be told the first time that you try to conceive a baby that you have a miscarriage. I cannot imagine. And I feel for those women so hard because I had a reminder that I can have a healthy baby and some people don't have that. So I just want to say, like, from the bottom of my heart, I feel for those women so hard when you don't have a baby already and you have that miscarriage conversation. It cannot be easy. None of them are easy, but specifically those women, I feel for them. So I talked to my doctor, and you have some options when your body's not actually doing it. And it was 4th of July weekend, and the next Monday is when I was going to have a procedure done to kind of like clear it out and just kind of try to move on. Physically, mentally, I'm still struggling, but it's 4th of July weekend. So to give you guys perspective, the due date was January 30th. Today is January 14th, I believe.
15.
Okay. So in 15 days was supposed to be my due date. And so this is very hard on my heart still. I think about it often, but just kind of relative to where we are. So this was last July 4th. I was supposed to have this procedure done, and my body decided to do it naturally. The Friday before I was supposed to have that procedure done, nothing would have prepared me for that. No conversation, no nothing. The physical toll it took on me was very difficult. I ended up going to the emergency room.
This was to remove the fetus that was inside?
Yeah.
This procedure that you were referring? Okay.
Yes. And I ended up going to the emergency room. I was by myself with my son. And just in the morning, like, just everything wanted to come out. And I was like, and my doctor told me, if anything happens before you come on Monday, this is what you need to do. And, she said, if you lose X amount of blood, you need to go. You need to go to the emergency room. Like, we want to make sure you're okay. And I did. I got dizzy. Like, I was losing blood. I was like, and I was at home by myself with my son. Like, I literally, it was the worst, probably the worst day of my life. Just being in that, like, I'm trying to take care of myself. My son is right there. Like, there was so much
like, what's going on with mommy?
Yeah. This isn't normal. My goodness, poor thing. So
quite helpful. Like, how can I help mommy? What can I do? Like, give me something that I can do.
Needless to say, I sat on the couch and did nothing until my husband got home. My husband got home. I went to the emergency room. He dropped me off, and then I actually had to get taken to the main hospital. We have like it's an emergency room, but it's a smaller one. So they took me to the main hospital in an ambulance. So it was my first ambulance ride, and thankfully, I was like okay mentally in that moment, and I was like, "This is kind of cool." They turned on the lights for me. Like it was cool in the moment because I was okay and stable at that time. Anyways, yeah, but I was in the hospital and like it was just like I don't think I've ever cried that hard in my life. Like I just remember the doctor being in there and I couldn't I don't even know. I was like angry, sad, scared, everything. But the beautiful thing about my experience at the hospital was almost every woman I talked to looked at me in the eye and said, I understand. And they said that because they had been through it. And you could tell the way they looked at me and the way they said. And some women shared their actual stories with me. And some women were just like, I am so sorry. I know what you're going through. Or I am, this is not easy. Please cry as much as you need to. And then one of the doctors that I spoke with in that whole realm of everything happening said, if you start talking to people, you'll realize more people have had miscarriages than will admit publicly, right? No one wants to talk about a miscarriage. I feel like even the word, people are like, oh no. And it is. It's sad. Let's be honest. It's sad, especially for people who are trying to get pregnant. Like you're in this like 20s and 30s and you're like, oh, I'm full of life. Things are happy. We're going to have a baby. And then that happens. And like it's the total opposite of this joy that you feel and this excitement that you feel. But talking about it, like these stories that I tell you, one of the nurses that I spoke to said she had twins and one of the twins miscarried.
Oh my God.
She like I can't even imagine that. And she was way further along than I was. Um, so she was way further along than I was. There was another woman who I spoke to, a friend, who said someone she knew went through like in the teens of miscarriages, like had so many and like kept trying because they wanted a baby so bad.
Wow.
So there are all these stories out there. No one is going to share with you until you say it yourself. Because naturally, like no one's going to be like, hey, I had a miscarriage yesterday. Like I went to the emergency room. I'm okay now. But like, and it never goes away. This woman that had the twins, that one miscarried, her son is like 26. And she was crying, talking to me about her miscarriage. Like that grief, that pain, it doesn't go away because all you think about is there's a little person that was here for a very short period of time, or they were supposed to be here, or what would life be like, right? Like what would life be like if I had two babies or if I was about to give birth right now? It's a never ending painful struggle and it's heartbreaking. It hurts in so many ways, but I'm so it's going to sound weird, and I hope I don't offend anybody by saying this, but I'm so blessed to have gone through it because I hope women feel comfortable coming to me talking about it. Like, that's truly how I feel. You don't understand certain things until you go through them, and that specific situation, a miscarriage, you will never understand until you go through it. But when you do go through it, you feel extremely alone and you feel like no one in the world understands your pain. No one in the world understands what you're going through. Your husband, or your boyfriend or whoever you have as support simply doesn't understand because I felt pregnant still after they told me, I was having like food aversion still like a week later.
Wow.
I was so frustrated and I would tell my husband, I feel pregnant. And it's like messing with me because I still have all these symptoms and this baby isn't growing. And it's like my mind almost didn't understand what was going on. Like I really couldn't comprehend. Like I feel pregnant. I know I'm technically not, but I technically am. It's this weird thing. And
transition that
you're
just trying to make sense of.
It is. It was odd. And the conversations that it opened up though were beautiful conversations. They were heartfelt, and they were honest and just raw. They were
Hey, here you
honest,
go.
raw conversations. They were. And I kid you not, I hope anybody listening to this, if they want to come talk to me about it, please come talk to me about it.
Yeah.
No, I will share my story. I will share all the TMI if you want. Because feeling alone in that moment is it's one of the worst feelings I've ever had in my life. It truly is. And I hope women understand you are not alone. People just don't talk about it. I don't know how to get it out there. I don't.
Yeah.
I am not the person to do it, but I am the person to say, you are not alone. Every single feeling is valid and you will get through it. You will never be the same after it, but you will get through it. But there are so many beautiful things to look at outside of what you're going through. Just push through, and just be with your feelings. That's all you can do is just take it and push through as best as you can.
Thank you so much for sharing, as you said, that raw story. And just for the record, this is you getting your story out there and talking about it and being bold. So thank you so much for being comfortable enough to share this experience. And I know so many women that are listening, and probably even dads, will hear this and have a better understanding of how to approach a situation if they know somebody, if they've gone through it, or if it's an ally. How can they help another woman through it and be more understanding and show it to that person going through it, And so I'm not going to try to dissect anything there because, as you mentioned, if you've gone through it, then you know. And I have not gone through that. So I want to be very respectful of the story and the situation for you and those listening. But I do want to say it sounds like what you did to kind of come out of it was to heal, was to kind of give yourself grace. I've heard a lot of women say that, and I think it's a very big, popular, important phrase to just acknowledge. And it sounds like you let yourself feel what you needed to feel, not judge any of it, and allow time to heal itself and allow yourself the comfort and grace to heal yourself and get the support that is required for you, whether it's hearing another woman who went through it, falling on your spouse for support or whatever it is, to kind of just pull it together. But as you also mentioned, not denying the fact that you will be different, even though that little human that was supposed to be is not with you anymore. Like I was thinking of like the little engine that could. It's almost like the baby with the miscarriages. The little baby that could be is not there. And I can't imagine how hurtful that is. But to kind of bring a positive spin to it, in my faith, it's always, we believe that everything happens for a reason. And kids are considered as a gift. It's considered like a treasure of this world, like money. And some people have it and some people don't. And when your kids even get old enough that they grow up and they move away, it's not like they were ever yours to begin with. But it was your responsibility as a parent to take care of them, to give them everything that they needed. They were never really yours, even though they grew inside you. I mean, that's kind of a hard concept to kind of break down and really accept, But the more that I listen to that and try to accept it for myself, it made me apply it to other things. It's not just people like your kids. It's your parents. It's your spouse, your friends. People are not meant to stay. They're not yours. They're not your belongings. They're not your possessions. They all have their purpose, and when their purpose has been fulfilled, they are taken. And, I hope that didn't offend anyone in any way. I just wanted to share it as a moment of grace to kind of help you see it from a different light, whatever your situation may be, whether it's miscarriage or something else. But just know that whatever happened, it was for a good reason. As Holly mentioned, it could have been that her son would have had some hardship in his life, given that he did complete his full-term pregnancy with Holly. And perhaps there's some truth to that, but we'll never know. But the truth is that Holly has left that situation. Holly has transitioned from that situation, not left because it doesn't leave you, but transitioned to be a fully functioning, strong woman who will eventually, if the universe has it, have another baby and her son would have someone to play with. And she's ready to engage with you and connect with you if you want to have that conversation with her. And thank you so much for that, Holly. I really appreciate you. And I'll let you close out with any other final remarks that you want to share.
Yeah, no, I think that that's honestly the best way I could possibly close out. I think just you are like in anything. I think women need to know you are not alone. You are simply not. Someone somewhere is either going through exactly what you're going through or going through something similar or has gone through it. And it really boils down to talking about it. And like that's why I'm so excited about what you've created here. We are talking about it. Like
Yes,
you're
absolutely.
doing it.
Yeah.
It's anything in parenthood or starting your own business or anything, miscarriages, pregnancy, all of it, like there are people out there who are willing to talk to. It's really hard to find them sometimes. I'm so thankful for my support system. But that's one thing I really wanted to talk about. I'm so glad we got to kind of get here in our conversation, but I really, really hope that people just hear this, and if there's anything out there that sparked their interest at all, like reach out to me. I am an open book. I'm not afraid to share because I know sharing my story can help someone. That's exactly what my friend did. That's how I knew to call her. Somebody, you might not have that person, and I would love to just be someone you can come to if needed.
Thank you so much. And you kind of just said the mission of Raw Talks in that this is about bringing those real conversations to life. This is about supporting women. And if you can't find one to talk to in person, well, here you go. Connect with the women on the show today. Reach out and if you live in the same state, or same city, you can try to find a way to meet up, but it's a way to kind of help us all get to know each other based on the stories and the life experiences we have so we can learn and grow together. So thank you so much for that. And, listeners, unfortunately, we've come to the end of our time together and we have so much more to unpack with Holly. But if y'all like it, you like Holly on the show, no, we can do a part 2. What do you think, Holly?
I would love a part 2. We could probably do like part 5, but we'll stick with 2.
And even if they give thumbs up, so we'll bring on Holly for another part 2 to cover all those other great topics. Just to give you a sneak peek, we were planning to talk about aging, imposter syndrome, postpartum, so the things like hair loss, weight management, depression, and all those good things. So we bring Holly on part 2. We probably kind of touch on some of those topics. But make sure, before you go, subscribe to our podcast today. Give me a follow on LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. And if you have any requests for future speakers or topics, send me an email at Raihana@rawcoaching.com. And if you're listening and you're like, hey, I have a great story I want to tell. And I always say, every person has a great story to tell. There is no story that's not valuable. So if you feel like you've got something great to share, send me an email. We'll get you on the schedule and figure it out how we can make sure you have a platform like Holly to share your story. And Holly, thank you so much for the time. I will be contacting you for that part 2. It's been a pleasure.